Oh, hey guys, how are you? Sorry, I was here trying to extend Labor Day weekend just a little bit longer, soak up some sun, and, get what I can before the summer ends. But you're here, so sorry, let's start another Tuesday 10 Talk. Hey, well, thanks for that. Thanks for reminding me about our today's Tuesday 10 Talk. I needed to get out of the sun, and I guess I can get rid of these. So, before we jump into today's Tuesday 10 Talk, let's jump back a little bit and talk about some that I've already talked about. First off, the movies. Now, we talked a little bit about the movies and what it's going to look like. Theaters just opened this past weekend, Labor Day weekend. And not only that, but they threw into theaters one of the biggest, most anticipated movies of the year, Christopher Nolan's spy thriller, Tenet. Now, with all that combined, were you part of the $20 million that Tenet made in North America this past weekend? I'm very curious to see who went to the movie theaters and what your experience was like, and whether or not we're going to see that continue. Now, it was a big plus for the movie theaters, big plus for the studios. Now, $20 million is not big, but it's big enough. Now, one interesting thing to see is, will we see an increase in box office next weekend? Traditionally, movies go down. And yes, I know it's not a 3-day weekend next weekend, but still, will we see something comparable? We see not a lot of decrease. And after having read what the experience was and what it was like, if you didn't go this weekend, will you go? Will you go to the movie theaters? For me, a Christopher Nolan movie is not a TV movie. It is a big screen movie, especially an IMAX movie, and I know I want to go. So it remains to be seen if I get there. I'm very curious. What are your thoughts? The other piece is, a couple 10 talks ago, I talked about college football. And Labor Day weekend's the traditional start and kickoff of college football, and we know this year is going to be anything but traditional. With the loss of the Big 12 and the Big 10 and the Pac-12, both not starting their seasons until January, maybe a little bit earlier, but likely January. It is a whole different landscape altogether. This past weekend, the teams that played were, not the big Power Fives. Power Fives begin this weekend with the ACC and the Big 12. They start their season. SEC will start later on in September. So if you're looking to see some Big 10, Big 12, and ACC teams play this weekend, OU plays, you can go see them squash the crap out of Missouri State. But you have to do it on pay-per-view for $54.99. What? Who is going to do that? Now, maybe OU Texas or OU Oklahoma State? Maybe, but nah. What's your thoughts on the upcoming college football season? It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be the first time that these student athletes, or we put people in a sport-related event so close together. Any closer than any sport it has so far since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. So it remains to be seen what happens. And we will know very soon what happens. Hopefully we have some sort of asterisk national championship match game in January. We'll see.
And the kick is good!
Now on to today's Tuesday 10 Talk. And we're talking holidays. We just finished the Labor Day weekend. One of the bigger holidays in our holiday schematic. Now what is the holiday? What is the origin of a holiday? The term holiday can go back all the way to 1950 AD. And an old English word that I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I'll screw it up. Holiday, maybe? I don't know. You tell me, what is that word? The word means holy day. And so you can see from the beginning how many of our holidays, at least in their birthing stages, and still some today, have a religious connotation or a religious background. And so whether it stays there or whether it is also kind of welcomed by those that aren't religious has certainly evolved over the years. Now, as time went on, holidays, particularly in Europe, where the term originated, began to mean days off and not working. Now, we call it vacation. We're going on a vacation. But if you're over in Europe, they're going on holiday. Now, maybe some of you call it holiday, but I haven't, even as much as I've been to London, I have not moved my connotation in my speech to the word holiday. Now, here in the United States, the first official holidays recognized by our government didn't come until 1870. And they gave and granted days off for, probably easy to figure out, New Year's Day, Independence Day, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day. Now, if you're in the UK, or it's just UK, you have a bank holiday. And that started, obviously, with the origination that banks were closed those days and people used it as a day off from work. Now, ironically enough, the folks that had to work were those that were in the bank because they had to catch up on bookkeeping. So interesting. So let's quickly run and talk about some of the more traditional and even some non-traditional holidays leading up to the end of the year. So with Labor Day, we just finished it. One of the bigger holiday times in the year, origin dating all the way back to the late 1800s, where the unions got together and decided they wanted to celebrate the worker and the unions that formed them and protected them. And oddly enough, with a parade, which still remains today, and we would have seen it across the country if we didn't have what's going on. Now today, while we still celebrate the essential worker, we don't necessarily stay true to that meaning. We have the parades, yes, and we shouted out all over social media, those of us that are part of the unions, and we were grateful for those unions, but many of us, it signals the end of the summertime, the end of the last hurrah. So we get in our beach days, we get in our vacations as we prepare to go headstrong into the rest of the year. Some people maybe had off for the whole summer. They're back at work. Some kids that had yet to go back to school are back to school or will be this week. Of course, this is all when things were normal. We are not quite there this time, unfortunately. And does Labor Day have a different meaning? Because people aren't necessarily back to school. People aren't necessarily back to work. Or if they're doing those things, they're doing them from home. If you're doing them from home, you can go on vacation. And it's just a different feel. And you gotta wonder if we're ever going to have that normal Labor Day. Will Labor Day ever be considered what it was? What do you think? Now, this next holiday I'm not a big fan of, and I never really was, even though I've been known to wear a mask as I've grown older. But Halloween, a fun time, mostly for our kids and some young adults, and adults who are still kids, throwing on a mask, and it began way back in Europe with the Celtic Harvest Festival, and it was a celebration of the harvest, and the times of became a celebration around those. Even the masks had what's called the mumming, where folks would wear masks. They would go into somebody else's house and they would sing and dance. Can't quite get away with that today unless you're going to somebody's party, and then you choose to embarrass yourself by singing and dancing with a mask on, maybe. So it's very, now it's traditioned mostly into a time when we dress up our kids in their favorite person, their character and favorite superhero of the day. Tomorrow will be something else. But they get to go around and have fun in the neighborhood. what was your favorite costume growing up? Mine was definitely a Star Wars one. I was Boba Fett and I was Chewbacca. And we had those. I know they're still around, but just the crazy, stinky plastic masks. Didn't like them. Now, jumping from that to a very special holiday that we all can get behind and all can celebrate, Veterans Day, or how it's known in the UK and other places, Armistice or Remembrance Day, where we celebrate and honor those that fought in a war. Now we all know how it was grown out of a period that wasn't really called Veterans Day until after World War I. Before that it was Armistice Day. And once we started having more wars, then it became Veterans Day. And lucky enough for me, the trips I've taken in the fall to London with my wife, blame it on her, have been around Remembrance Day. So I've been able to be there during that time, and it's pretty amazing to be there, especially a few years ago. They celebrated the 100th year of Remembrance Day, and that was pretty special. And seeing how they decorated and the pomp and circumstance really, surrounding that and honoring their war heroes. All right, jumping into my favorite holiday. No, it's not May the 4th be with you, though I do like that holiday. That's not really a holiday. Talking about Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving, whatever you may call it now. In fact, Friendsgiving was a term not started by the Friends, but by Bailey's Liqueur, the company surrounding that does Bailey's, in an ad in 2011. And then it just kind of grew from there. Now I have my 3 F's of Thanksgiving: family, food, and football. And of course, having the time with your family, your friends, whoever you choose to spend that day with is pretty special, surrounding and just enjoying the company, sharing whatever it is you share on that day, food, wine, other beverages, and just being near each other. And I'm sure this year will be extra special for those, especially those that have been hugely affected by the pandemic in one way or another, as many, many, many of us have. And there's the food aspect of it. Lots of food. Usually way too much food. But I get to cook. I love cooking, and I get to cook on a specialty or something like that. Now, the football, yes, there's the NFL, which I watch it, not a big fan. Dallas sometimes plays, they might win. Yes, I'm a Dallas fan when it comes to NFL, if I even care for it. But there's also, around that time, really good college football games. That I like. When I was growing up, there used to be Texas A&M, Texas on Thanksgiving Day. Now, we jump into, it's not a holiday, but it's a day that drives me crazy. And for those of you that are in retail, I know it drives you even crazier because it's Black Friday and you know what that brings. But what annoys me is how, sorry, let me get my soapbox for a minute, but it annoys me how we have transitioned to a culture where Black Friday has turned into Brown Thanksgiving, where we have gone earlier and earlier celebrating and opening stores for Black Friday and have intruded on the family and interrupted folks' Thanksgiving. Always made me mad, always made me angry, and I love to see it. Stores and companies now not doing that and actually not opening until early morning on Black Friday, getting back to what we should be. So applaud to that. And then we come to one of the biggest times of the year, the holidays. And no, it's not the biggest holiday of the year, but this time certainly brings a lot of folks together, and we're talking about Christmas, Hanukkah, and the Kwanzaa time. All that December time. And depending on what time of the year and how it falls, it may overlap all those things. But it's definitely a large time of the year. Yes, mostly surrounding religious holidays, but those that are not religious have also taken it and run with it. It does have, especially the Christmas, does have its variations in the non-Christian realm, especially with the trees and the presents and the snow. And it's just a glorious time to be excited. And you know, we've been to some really cool places during that time and seeing how other places do up that time of the year, and it's always fun. It's always fun to check out the lights, check out the trees, check out the markets. If you go to Europe, that time of year is a huge market time in all the major cities. And personally, very blessed, and when we can do it, my wife and I are off that time of year, so we usually plan a fun vacation and get away and go try and find someplace new and see what they do for that holiday. And so it's just that time of year that brings people together. Yes, there's a stress of buying gifts and just maybe even being alone, which some people, you know, you take care of your friends, you know that, and you take care of them. But that's a part that we all enjoy and have to watch out for, especially this year. It is not a normal year, we all know that. And holidays are going to be totally different this year. I'm going to finish up by talking about New Year's Day, which is the most widely celebrated holiday in the world. And started out as a new beginning, and again, it has its Christian origins, starting out as new beginnings and new life, and the naming of Jesus Christ. But then obviously it has grown a lot and expanded into what we actually know today of New Year's Day, and celebrating it with the New Year, New Day. Many of us had a fun night before, fireworks and other things. And there's so many fun traditions about New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. In Spain and Portugal, as the clock strikes midnight, and you eat a grape for every strike, and it's supposed to represent the 12 months of the year, bringing you good luck. We did that when we were, a couple years ago, when we went to the Azores. That was 12 grapes in basically 30 seconds. It's not easy, I can tell you that. But we did it, and we had good luck. We had a good year afterwards. Colombia, they walk around with empty suitcases, and hopefully bringing them good luck and good travel and just safety as they stray from home. In Finland, they take molten tin, they dump it into water, and then whatever shape that it forms, whether it be something that looks like an animal, something that looks like a boat, or something that looks like a field, will kind of define what their year is going to be like. So a lot of traditions surrounding this day. Maybe not everywhere, and maybe still some not around, but nonetheless, they have. Now, I'm going to stop here because we have a whole other 6 months to talk about. This was just a taste of holidays and celebrating the holidays. So between now and then, I want you to think about your favorite holiday that happens between January and July. Let me know what they are. Let's talk about them. I'm going to share them with you all next week. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little education on holidays and whatever the rest of this year brings you in holidays. I hope it's very good. I hope it's everything you want it to be. And I'll see you next time on Tuesday Tent Talk.